How's everyone doing? Tony's with me. I'm Dusty. We got a recap of yesterday's game, and there was a little bit of things to be upset about, mad about, but I love the intensity the team showed. I think they showed a lot of heart. It was hard to feel. It was mixed emotions. We felt upset, things didn't go our way, but overall, the team played hard. They really did. There's a lot of injuries that was going on that defensive line, and I would have ran the ball more if I was the Chiefs with all them injuries to the defensive tackle room. But we were there. We had every chance to pull away with that game.
Yeah,
how'd you feel about it? Just initial reactions, Tony. Were you, initial reactions? I think we were all pissed off, right?
Well, I think gut reaction, like initial reaction, is I've seen this story 1,000 times, man. Chiefs get the ball back with a little bit of time and somehow drive the ball down the field one way or another and kick a game winner against Cincinnati. It's one way or another where we might kick a game winner, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to blame the refs. I'm not going to get on Twitter. I'm not going to get anywhere and blame the refs. You never put the game into the hands of the officials. And, each phase of the game had a couple plays here and there where you're like, hey, you got to execute on that, right? And it probably goes our way. What do you think?
Agree.
It's just my opinion, man.
So the start of the game, we had a 4th and 4, which was not ideal, but we were in range to go for it. And Zach Taylor decides to go for it, and we hit Mike Gesicki for a decent chunk play. It might have been, I don't know, probably close to 30-yard play, and we went all the way down to, I believe, the 6 or 7 yard line, and we get a field goal out of it. But right there, man, off the rip, you would love to see that just get punched in. I don't know, that right there was one of the biggest things for me, was just off the rip, starting out hot, being gutsy, going for it, getting a huge play out of it, in being 1st and goal with nothing.
Yeah, for sure. And on top of that, I would say there was a little bit more creativity, right? I mean, we saw a little bit of under center. We saw a lot of gun, which I'm not a huge fan of in this offense. We saw some under center, and they kept it interesting with their mix-up. Obviously, it was pretty heavily pass dependent, but at the end of the day, even though I did not think Zach Moss was effective, I really liked what I saw out of Chase Brown between the tackles and even out around the edge. I think he's going to be a bigger point of emphasis moving forward. And again, to your point, going forward on 4th down, not once, but twice in the game, we went forward on 4th down, got it both times. I want to see more of that side of Zach Taylor, because at the end of the day, if it's 4th and 4 and you miss a field goal, now it's 0-0, right? I mean, just getting a field goal off that first rip, even though it wasn't a touchdown, I think there was a big problem with converting red zone offense to touchdowns in that game. But assume you get nothing out of that. You're going down 0-0 with no points, right? And we saw time after time in these Chiefs games where there can be a 14-point swing and now you're way down. So it was really good to see that out of the offense coming out of the drive.
And you kind of hit it on there with Chase Brown. Dude he's a shot out of a cannon, man. When he gets the ball, it is, I mean, before anybody can react, he's reading the hole, he's hitting the hole, and he's a yard upfield before you even know it. It's really amazing. And I'm a big Gio fan, Giovanni Bernard. But he's more explosive than Gio, I think.
He doesn't give me Gio vibes at all, though. Gio was a shifty back, but this guy is a straight line.
Yeah, the size, I'm just talking about size comparison. But he's just, dude, he's so explosive. And he only had, I think, 4 carries for like 30 some yards. He was averaging it was like around 6, almost 7 yards a carry. So the dude I think he needs touches. Now, I'm not saying that Zach Moss didn't play well, because I think Zach Moss played his role decently. You'd like to see a little more explosiveness out of him. But that's not really his role. He did get us a couple first downs when needed, and I do like that. I just think we need to give So I'm not hating on the guy. I just want more opportunities than 4 to 5 carries um for Chase Brown.
Well, and on top of that, he only had 31 total yards from scrimmage. I think there were a couple drives in there where they passed on second and third down, especially that last drive of the game, right? I think that it would have been, just given his production, it would have been better to run the ball, try to get
Hmm.
some yardage, force them to blitz. Because what was happening, and the Chiefs do this all the time, right? On first and second down, they might not blitz you at all, and they're just going to let you play your offense. And then on third down, they're going to come after you. So
Yeah.
knowing you're trying to get ahead of the blitz on second down, I would have liked to have seen more run plays, just given the fact that he was averaging so many yards a carry. That alone, I think, set a difference. You could talk about Joe Burrow's fumble, you could talk about drop passes, but at the end of the day, it was red zone conversion to touchdowns, and I think just some missed play calls on the offense where they were calling
Mhm.
pass plays instead of a situation where you should have ran.
Yeah, I think another positive, because I want to hit on some positives, because I feel like
Sure.
when we start talking about some of the negatives, we might take up a decent bit of time. But
Yeah.
positives, Eric All looked good. A
Yep.
rookie stepped in. He had a big, I believe he had the third down conversion out of a timeout early on in the game for about 16 yards, probably. And I thought he looked good. And the thing with tight ends is passing, being able to run your routes, catch the ball, but also block. And the dude seems like he's blocking very well. When he's getting opportunities to catch the ball, he's making the basic plays that he needs to do. He's getting out of his routes, he's catching the ball. That's what you want to see, and he's a rookie. So I'm happy. I'm happy with the tight end room. Everyone kind of hates on Drew Sample, but Drew right off the rip, 2 targets, first down. Mike Gesicki, other than the drop that he had, which is a killer, Mike had a really good game. And you don't want to be defined by one thing. Like, should have caught the ball 100%. Andre Yosavash dropped a big third down conversion that hit him. Joe tried to slow him down so he doesn't get absolutely destroyed. He was slightly off target and drops it. That to me, Andre needs to catch that ball, man. If people are going to sit there and talk about Andre as the next T. Higgins, he's not, which is fine. Not many people are the next T. Higgins, but he's improved. He had 2 touchdowns. He is somebody I think we all want to see flourish and play great and be reliable for Joe. But the reason Joe likes Trenton Irwin so much is because he'll make the routine plays. To me, that was a pretty routine catch. Andre should have caught that ball. Do you have any thoughts between tight ends and I know I just covered a lot right there.
You did. No, you're good. So, I liked how we played a lot of tight ends, right? Mix it up with the tight ends a lot. I know Tanner Hudson didn't get a snap, but I liked how we rotated those 3 guys around and used them to their strengths. One thing now, you hit on a couple things. Gesicki and Yosivash. Number one, I'll hit on Gesicki. So he's improving, but I'm not so sure that we fully trust him in this offense to catch that ball when we need him to catch the ball. Kind of like we saw out of Hayden Hurst, right? He
Mm-hmm.
was a pretty surefire catch when it was thrown his way. I haven't really seen that at Gesicki yet. I know he has it, right? I know he has it. I know he's going to be a dynamic piece in this offense. I just haven't seen that sure-handedness yet. And that big drop on second down on that game-ending drive, I think that was a big killer, right? And put him behind the 8 ball to where KC could tee off with their blitz and just shut the drive down. Yossi Vosh, on the other hand, I'm not seeing the speed, but I'm seeing a really good route runner. And that's what I saw on those 2 touchdowns, right? It was just pure route running is what he got.
That's
I
surprising,
really
right?
like
Well, instincts
uh
too.
it's not surprising, but I think it's instinctual and he's
Yeah.
showing improvement. He's never going to be, to your point, a replacement for T. Higgins. He's not going to be a Tyler Boyd. I think he's a really good fringe wide receiver 3. And I mean that in the best way. I don't mean that as a
Yeah.
negative by any means. I think he's a pretty good piece of the offense. I'm more excited for Caleb Burton and I'm more excited for T. Higgins to come back because 9
Mhm.
times out of 10 on those crucial third downs, if it's not going to Chase, it's going to T. Higgins, especially in a big KC game because they're pretty sure-handed. So
And
that's what it is. I mean,
yeah,
I think they were limited, and I saw really, really, really little, if any, Ti out there. I think it shows the step that Yosivach has taken, and certainly we saw some flashes out of Burton in that game, and I'd like to see more of that.
I saw the snap count, and I forget what it was. I probably should have wrote it down or something. But Trenton Irwin still played significant snaps.
Well, he played
Problem was,
significant snaps, but I'm saying he didn't have any sort of significant impact, and there wasn't any
okay,
Yeah, there was
okay.
nothing
I
there
thought
in
you were,
terms of production outside the
yeah,
snap count.
yeah, 100%. He had a ball hit him right in the face, bro. Like Trenton.
Yep.
Now, to his defense, he probably thought Joe was going to run that ball in, and I think Joe should have.
Joe should have run it there. Yeah,
I mean,
Joe should have run it there.
Green grass, not what was it? Maybe 8 yards he had to go, like in from the line of scrimmage, but where
You're gonna
get
popped in that situation. You're gonna get popped. You're gonna get popped by the safety coming down. You're gonna get popped by the linebacker coming over, and the corner stepping up. You're gonna get popped, but I don't know, man. Maybe Joe's being a little tentative still, just trying to keep himself from injury, and that's smart. But
Yeah,
it did hit him right
dude,
in
you
the
can
face.
slide at the 1 yard line. Like I'm not. I don't think any Bengals fan is going to be too mad that Joe Burrow protected himself. We know Joe's competitive, so what's Joe going to do? He's not going to. He's not going to do it, most likely, just like back when Aaron Rodgers told him, hey, dude, you need to slide more, protect yourself because you're getting lit up. But still, the ball's at the 1. I feel really good with trying to punch it in. Well, that might have been, was it third down, second or third down? I don't think
there was a couple.
first.
There was a couple drives. That was one of them, though, that they were inside the 5 yard line and did and really tried to get a touchdown there, and they only converted one of them. But I mean, to your point, man, it hit Ti right in the face. Like you can't put a better ball on it than that. And in the NFL, you got to catch those. So
now it looked like Trenton's arm, it would have been his right arm. It looked like it got trapped a little bit. I'm making excuses for him. It hit him in the face. He's got to come get hands on it or something. But he just misjudged it. Maybe, like I said, maybe he thought Joe was running and he threw it, caught him by surprise last second, and he lays out for it. It's tough. I think, we hit on Burton a little bit. Big Marshall says, "Hoo-yah, Bengals Army." What's up, Big Marshall? Thanks for joining us, man. But Burton, man, he deep ball, just let him run. Just let him run, spread. And even if he doesn't catch it, which he's sure-handed, he's kind of like Tyler Boyd, For the most part, Tyler Boyd was very reliable. I can think of a couple drops later in his career in the Super Bowl that really sucked. I don't want to hit on that and taint his image because he was a good player. He's a great player for the Bengals, but that's what always comes to mind with me with Tyler Boyd. But I think Burton, that ability to spread the field and have somebody else to stretch it, other than when you throw the ball up, it's not a 50-50 ball when it's T. Higgins. T. Higgins ain't here. So everything to Jamar's basically been underneath. He ran a slant for maybe 15 yards. It might have been 15, 20 yards that he caught against the Patriots
they bracketed
last week.
him. Yeah, they were playing bracket coverage on him, so they had to use somebody. I'm really happy they reached into the bag and figured out that, we've got a deep ball threat. And listen, like, I'll just preface this by saying, like, I might be a bit of a negative Nancy on this team right now. I've been on them with Twitter. I've been on all over the place, but they finally
don't
figured
get me
out.
started with Twitter. I've been getting some.
Dude. And listen, I'll take credit for it. I've been a negative Nancy, but it's merited, right? They finally figured out in the middle of the game that they've got a deep ball threat that can stretch the field out a little bit and then open up other routes. When they finally did it, the Chiefs weren't expecting it, and it was a huge play to Burton, right? Mm-hmm. We've said this all year. I don't care about – honestly, I really couldn't care less about all these fake rumors about him not caring, not developing, not learning the playbook, maybe not putting in the effort. At the end of the day, he's a really good, naturally talented athlete. You can use him in the absence of T. Higgins, which who knows when he's going to come back. to stretch the field out, and it worked because the Chiefs were caught flat-footed. He caught a big deep ball. I think they
Mhm.
need to do more of that and reach into their depth more than ever, right?
Yeah.
To be able to do those types of things.
And Joe did a great job on that. He held off the safety just enough. In pretty much about the time he hit his back foot in his drop, he was throwing that ball. So I think Joe knew where he was going
Yeah.
pre-snap read. He knew he was going there, and he looked the safety off just enough, plants, and he was already he was going there. I think that was his first. It had to have been his first read. Now,
But it was his
um,
only really long pass of the game. I
mhm,
think they could have gotten away with doing more of that.
yeah,
And we've yet to see a long ball to chase. I know that they're
mhm,
probably bracketing him in game one and game two, but they're playing a lot of too high versus Joe right now and daring him to throw that deep ball. I think he needs to do more of it and keep him honest.
yeah. It's been. I know at least game one was a lot of cover two. So
Yeah.
I haven't seen the old. Uh, I haven't even watched the game back really to break anything down with it. It was just I don't know. I don't even know if I'll watch the game back too much to be honest. But I
I
still
don't watch these games back. I'll watch film breakdown a little bit, but I won't watch the entire game back. There's no way. On to the
yeah.
next one.
It I'll put somebody I'll put you guys on anybody listening live. The Joe Goodberry, he does a great breakdown. So watch his breakdown. I don't know if it's out yet, but I'm sure he'll do a really good one that's solid and you learn a lot of stuff on there. So it's fun to
Mhm.
see and you get a different perspective of it. That's something I should probably get better at doing is watching more of the games back and slowing them down because then you can see the actual coverage, maybe why Joe doesn't go to certain places. You can also get different vantage points of the game. So
Mhm.
that's always nice. What do you think of Jamar's little meltdown?
I think there's two sides to it. So there's number one, keeping your composure. I don't care what the ref says. I don't really care what happened in the play. You can advocate a little bit, but at the end of the day, you can't go back for more. You're going to get the flag every time. I
Mm-hmm.
think the story that's not being talked about enough is the ref saying, "Get the f out of my face."
Yeah.
Like this should be a two-way street. I think these referees are getting away with a little bit too much where they're on their high horse. And in a situation like that, right? You know it's going to set a player off when you say something like that.
Right.
I think
Especially
I
somebody that's
think
already mad. You know what I mean?
someone that's already juiced up. I mean, it was a fringe. It was a fringe, not hip drop tackle, but the corner knew what he was doing by spreading
Mm-hmm.
his feet out and doing that. He knew the rule and got away with it because it wasn't by definition a hip drop tackle, but it had the elements of a hip drop tackle. So
Mm-hmm.
Chase could have gotten injured, dude. Like he was merited in being angry, but at the end of the day, I don't care what the ref says. You can't go back for more ever.
Yeah.
You're going to get the flag 100% of the time, and then it put us behind the sticks. We got a field goal out of that drive where it should have been a first down, moving the chains.
Yeah. Yeah. That was big because I think it was third. It would have been about 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6. So it's third and reasonable. You know, you can make a play there. After that, you're just kind of fighting to get back in field goal range. So that's my biggest. I don't. The reason I'm most upset about is that it really took us out of position to try to make that first down, keep driving the ball. But I do like to see the fire in Jamar a little bit. Like I feel like last week the team played timid. We didn't look tough. We didn't have that like the kids say that dog in them, right, dude? Like we
Yeah,
didn't we didn't have that. Like it's just it's true. And sometimes the Bengals come out and they play teams like that, and they do look kind of finesse. They look like they're going to try to rely on their scheme and different things. They don't look tough. In other games, they come out and it's hard nosed football, and you love it. And I like to see Joe and Jamar kind of irritated. Like it's bad. I don't like to see them irritated. I like to see them excited, kind of worked up. Like Joe got a first down. He used his legs and he ran and then he flexed on him. And it
yeah.
was just like, okay, that's the Joe. Like that's what we need. Um, but uh, the cursing towards a player to me is just I think it's unacceptable. I think the refs need to be held to a professional level. Like I don't see if the player curses at a ref, that's fine. Like throw the flag, do whatever, but you shouldn't be instigating it. That's my only point. Like
Right.
you're not going to talk. So there's a little discussion somebody posted on Twitter, and I got into it with a lot of Chiefs fans, and I just I left it alone. I wasn't arguing with these guys because they say hateful, just ridiculous things because they're Twitter warriors and they think they're tough behind a screen or whatever. But that doesn't matter. If you want to talk ball and have respectful conversations, I'll do that. But once you start being ridiculous and calling people just silly names and cursing, that's I don't think I know I don't condone it, and you guys aren't partaking in that either because we got lives. You know, we got things that are more important than arguing and just making yourself look silly on the internet. But the point of it was Travis Kelce doesn't get that call. That's why I said Travis Kelce, meaning that is the refs aren't cursing at him. They're not. I've never seen where a ref. I haven't seen it really. I don't think ever where it was so blatantly get the F out of my face. You know, like
well, Buddy bumped a ref before in anger and didn't get anything out of it. He's bumped. At the end of the day, I'm not going to be the one to. I saw it live. Like I saw where several times the flag should have been thrown and it wasn't. And there are some questionable stat lines specifically where the Chiefs aren't getting penalized when they should, or they're getting the opportunistic penalty when it's kind of fringe. Like we can go down that road, but at the end of the day, man, you never leave it in charge. You don't leave the game in the hands of the officials. Period. Like you had every good team gives you the opportunity to shut the door and win the game. In fact, Cincinnati had several opportunities to do that, right? And something that I don't think is talked about enough that should have been talked about more is that missed extra point. A lot of people were saying that was negligible because he missed it. They would have kicked an extra
it was
point.
over the upright. Yeah.
However, that was a situation where you could have went for 2 and been up 7, right? Why would you go and just kick an extra point knowing that if they score a touchdown, they're going to have a 1-point lead on you? I think it would have been more prudent to go for 2 and go up 7 and make it an even 1-score game. That's my opinion. I thought it was a really questionable call. I don't think enough people are talking about that. In a situation where 2 would have been a much better ball game, and 2 would have put you into a scenario where that game ender, given all the mistakes, right, would have been a game tire, or potentially, hey, we've got to score a touchdown here. And now you're staring down the barrel at 4th and 16, past the 50, where you've got to go down and score a touchdown with very little time on the clock. I like the Bengals' chances a hell of a lot more in that game, in that situation, than if you know that Bucker can kick it within 55 yards. Not being talked about enough.
Yeah, I agree. Marshall said the last drive of our offense killed us. Well, yeah, during that last drive, you know, I believe that's when Yoshi dropped that 3rd down.
It was identical, dude. It was identical to the AFC Championship game in 2022. Identical situation where you had some fire drives where you saw the gut in the team. They showed out, and then it comes down to 2.5, 3.5 minutes left on the clock, and you've got to shut the door and close this out. You get a couple weird, questionable pass play calls, and then they blitz you on 3rd down for a sack. And then before you know it, Patrick Mahomes has the ball back to go win the game. It was identical to that. And it frustrates me knowing that they didn't really learn from 2022 and kind of put themselves into the same situation. All drops aside, fumbles, etc. You had 3 turnovers. You won the turnover battle by 2. You should have won.
Yeah. That the Joe one, man. That was rough because not only do you fumble the ball and give it back to him, I believe was that after Cam Taylor-Britt's interception.
That was
I could be wrong.
No, that was before it. But the Chiefs scored a touchdown on that drive.
Yeah. So Joe gets the ball, and then that was 3rd down. So whatever, like just kind of eat it at that point. Like I know he wants to make a play, if it doesn't happen, just try to secure the ball, man. Like it's
I think
hard.
ball security needs to be ball security, and catching the football needs to be outside of like stopping the run needs to be a point of emphasis. We can talk about how Cordell Volson had the lowest pass rush protection on the entire offensive line at guard. We can talk about, missed opportunities. We can talk about no defensive tackles. But at the end of the day, ball security, whether it's catching the football or fumbling, has been a huge trend the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, like I said earlier, man, routine plays. That was what I was always coached in high school. And even like little league, like travel leagues and stuff for baseball. If you make the routine play, you have a very good chance of winning a game. In a routine play is catching a pass that hits you in the hands. It's holding on to the football. It's doing the basics, and it's upsetting when the basics you lose due to that. Because
you know what that's due? That's due to coaching. That's not due to players. That's due to coaching, in my opinion.
Well, last week, look what happened. Tanner Hudson, I don't know. He's trying to make a play, and he puts the ball up instead of just tucking it and diving for the end zone. I get it. He wants to make a play, but it's just like, man, right there. That was the difference. That was the difference in the game. And you bring it back to Mike Gesicki's drop. It wasn't really a drop. It was a bobble, and he's going out of bounds. It was a tough ball. I understand that, but you'd love to see that to have been a touchdown right there. And that was the difference in that game. The NFL,
the 50-50 games are what send you to the playoffs in the NFL.
Yeah.
There's a really good stat line. I mean, you got, I mean, not to cut you off, but like, look at teams like the Minnesota Vikings last year who lost how many games? 10 games by like one score or less, or like within 3 points, and didn't make the playoffs. Like these one score 50-50 games where you're in it, you've got to win. Like you've got to win to stay in contention. Now they're down 0-2. We could be having a totally different conversation if they put 8 more points up on the board between 2 games, right?
Yeah. So Zach Carter, do you know what he graded out at? It was 28%.
Really bad.
And that's what we were down to. So that's a little, that's concerning. It's very concerning. Not a little concerning, but very concerning, because our defensive tackle room is hanging on by a thread at this point. We need some guys to get back. And there's a really good chance, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have Chris Jenkins back and Miles Murphy. That'll make a difference. We'll get a little better rotation. But speaking on the defensive line, dude, Trey Hendrickson, how can't you love that guy? Seriously, that dude is he's a humble guy. He gives all the praise to the big man upstairs. He's just a good dude. And when he's out there, he flips that switch, and that's what he just wants. He's a ball player. He wants to play football.
How many times did he get held, dude? How many times did he get held? He got held so many times. They only called one holding call on him, and he got held so many times. Yeah, he was getting held so many times. They pulled that rookie from the left tackle spot in a big game. Mm-hmm. That's how bad it was. He was blowing him up, but they only called one holding call. There were 3 different plays before where I was like, dude, he's wrapped around him, like around his neck. How can you not call it?
So when it comes to the Chiefs, that's the thing that upsets the fans, is the fact that the calls don't get played. The calls aren't made against the Chiefs, right? But then in crucial situations, somehow magically a flag gets popped out, just like the holding on Orlando Brown Jr. on
which is weird. That wasn't a hold. That wasn't a hold.
Yeah, he tosses the guy down. Like that was weird. That was a crappy situation to be in. But you have these blatant calls being missed, and that's where I don't like you said, putting the ball in the ref's hands. You don't want that, especially when you have opportunities to put the game away. But in general, the Chiefs get away with these holding calls constantly. On the last play, 2 different players are being held. And what I don't get is why Sam Hubbard wasn't out there. It was Joseph Osai, Zach Carter. Zach Carter graded out so low. And if you're not going to send 3, or you're only sending 3, that's fine. Whatever. I get you're playing prevent defense. You don't want to get the first down. That's fine. But why not have Sam? Is Sam like hurt? Was he just gassed to where he couldn't be
I don't
out
give a
there?
crap if you. I'll be honest, man. You're an NFL
But
player. I couldn't give 2 craps if you're gassed. It's the last play of the game.
right, is literally the deciding factor. Sam, you've been in these positions before. Just you're a captain on the team. I believe he's a captain. He's been a captain. Like, get your ass out there and say, nope, I got this. Like, take that leadership role and go out. Like, Mike Hilton hasn't been playing super great, but why Mike Hilton wasn't out there? Then you put a rookie in this crazy situation, which he's athletic. I get he's got some length. Why not go and put Jordan Battle, and I'm cool with those 5.
You're hitting on all the points I was going to bring up.
Like, I'm cool, but have Mike Hilton out there. Big dude has been in big games. He's ready for this. He the game's on the line. Put your best players out there. Put Mike Hilton, Jordan Battle, and if you just want to send 3, Sam Hubbard should be out there. I don't understand it. I really don't.
I personally don't agree with only sending 3 and giving him all that time in the pocket.
And then he's held on top of it, which
and then they're held. So okay, let me give you my little breakdown that game ending that 4th and 16. Okay. So 4th and 16 comes. I was waiting for the plot twist. Like, even in that situation, I was just waiting for the plot twist when I saw 3 go out there. You hit on a little bit here with Zach Carter. I don't know why he was in there. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I think anybody else would have been a better play call, a better situational player there. But if you're only going to send 3 and you're dropping that many people, you're just asking for a PI because you know Patrick Mahomes is going to throw it because that's what they know they're going to get. When it comes to Anthony being in there over Battle, I thought that was the most questionable call of the day. You could take Zach Carter out of there aside. I think having Anthony in there over Battle and no Mike Hilton was really, really, really weird. I would have preferred, in my opinion, to send 4 with a Mike Hilton blitzer or send 3 with a spy.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day,
what about
they dropped everybody, so it gave him plenty of time to throw. What he did was he stepped up and rolled left.
Which he's going to do that. He's going to open the pocket up.
You know he's going to do that. You have to have somebody there as a spy to come up and rush that throw. So he just throws it real quick. I didn't see any of that. It was a really, really, really weird play call. And at the end of the day, it cost him the game because it was bad defensive play calling. And that right there is a prime example. And I talk a lot of crap about this team. That's a prime example of why I don't believe in Lou Anarumo right now, because he's not putting people in the situations when it matters most. He played really good defense yesterday, but that one right there, that's where you make your money. I didn't see it. That was really weird and something that almost no NFL team would do.
Yeah, the sending 3 and not 4, or like you mentioned, a spy.
You have to have a spy. What they do in the AFC Championship game when they
who the spy was? Sam Hubbard was the spy.
It was Sam Hubbard, and he waited and then said "F it" and rushed and forced him to throw the ball.
Well, he fumbled it. He fumbled it.
He fumbled it. Yeah. So, but stuff like that, like, you're not coaching well. That's coaching right there. You're not putting your players in a position to succeed. And now you've got a rookie who you know is going to commit PI because he wants to win the game for his team and he's amped up on adrenaline. Don't put him in that situation and send a spy, which is Sam Hubbard.
And Deshaun Anthony, I think he's got a bright future for us. I really do.
He's a day 3 pick. He's a day 3 pick. He might be really, really, really hopeful right now. But who on earth puts a day 3 pick in that situation where you have to stop? And 9.99 times out of 10, you're stopping a team on 4th and 16. But there, if he gets the ball off, they're going to try to draw PI one way or another. You have to put your players in a position to succeed. That ain't it.
Well, the thing is, you have Jordan Battle, who played really well when given opportunities last year. He played really well. He graded out very well.
He graded
Why?
out as our number one defensive player, and I know all the haters in the chat, including one that we are good friends with, are going to say that's because our defense was historically bad. History aside, if you've got one of your best surefire coverage and tacklers on the team, and the single highest graded defensive player in your entire roster last year, not on the field for the first 2 games, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because he can play corner, he can play safety, he can take Von Bell's spot. He should have been there over Anthony, and I would have even forgiven them for not having Mike Hilton or Sam Hubbard in there if they had Jordan Battle in there over Anthony.
Yeah. Now, to Anthony's defense, he was playing the ball. Now,
it was
per
PI.
the rules,
it was PI, dude. It was PI.
Now, I believe, the contact came early. He was playing the ball. You don't see that. You just don't see that call when you let players play. I'm cool with that. Let them play, but don't let deciding factors at the end of the game. The Hail Mary thing, like it wasn't a Hail Mary, but it was a Hail Mary. You know, you're trying to get the first down, trying to get field goal range to win the game. It's the same circumstance with way, way worse. There was, I believe it was the Houston game where this dude, one of the corners comes up and he's diving for the ball, makes way early contact, but even the announcer's like, well, he's making a play for the ball. So, in my opinion, let the players play. Don't wait for the ball to literally hit the ground and then throw. Ball. Okay, that's ball game. I'm throwing the flag. Like that to me. Like, come on. When there's defensive holding or offensive holding on that same play, horribly bad. When you see a jersey being pulled, that right there.
There was 2 holds. Yeah.
How much more obvious is it? So make the call. It'd been offsetting. Run the play back. I'm fine with that. Run the play back. Like, but if you're gonna be up front and say, "Hey, we're letting them play," like, okay, cool, but don't in the backfield same thing.
I agree with you.
Somebody going for the ball.
You're making really good points, and I can see why you're saying that. I'm just gonna say, we've both watched tons of football over the years. Every single time you make contact with the receiver beforehand, even if you are going for the ball, especially in a jump pass situation, you're going to get PI. There's a lot of other situations in a Hail Mary where I can see where they might excuse it a little bit. But in that situation, nobody really around him, which is a whole nother story for another day. I don't know how you don't have 2 defenders there, one in front, one behind. But if you've got a one-on-one situation and he makes contact with the receiver with a catchable ball, it was very catchable, they're going to call PI.
I think it was a bang play. And I'll go back to, I believe it was Goodberry that had it posted where he had it cut up. From the front, that front view, it looked very bang. And that's where it's tough for me. If you're trying to make a play for the ball and you're going forward and the receiver's going backwards, that's how it is. You're going to make contact because the dude's falling back. You're going forward, but you're going for the ball. You said it earlier. Don't leave in the refs' hands. The Bengals had opportunities. It's very frustrating to see the trend. That's where it gets upsetting, is the trend of the Chiefs, where you see plays go in their favor in meaningful situations. I don't want to hate on the referees, but that's just is what it is, man.
Your critique is warranted. Your critique is warranted, and I completely agree with you because I've seen it against almost every other NFL team, including the Super Bowl, where they're getting calls their way in really weird situations at really opportunistic times. I'm just saying, and I tweeted this, I said championship teams close the door and go win the game. When the Chiefs give you the ball with the lead, with 3 minutes and 22 seconds on the clock and it's second down, you got to catch the ball. You got to run. Well, that's what you got to call the right plays. Like that's the stuff that you've got to do right, or they're gonna beat you.
So the people that I like Andre. I hate to seem like I'm like an Andre hater or something because I talk about him so much. It's just I see so much love for him and so much like overlooking of T. Higgins' importance. So T, if he was out there, he did it before. He did it when we won the AFC North. He closed the game out on a third down. He caught the ball through traffic, secures it, gets to the ground, first down, game over. That's it. Bengals win. That was in Cincinnati 2021. If that was T out there on that little slant across the middle, T's catching that ball. Guarantee it. And
100%.
it's no hate on Andre, but
Yeah.
routine plays. The ball hit your hands. Joe was trying to save you and protect you, and the timing might be off or whatever. But you and Joe's been working together all year. Like Andre's a great. He's improved a lot. I'm not saying he's a great player. Andre's a very good player. He's a good role player for the Bengals. He's not a T Higgins replacement. Probably going to catch a little flack for that, and that's okay. But
no, you're right.
It's truth. Yeah, it's
You're
100%
right.
the truth, and that's the difference. You have a defensive line that's completely wiped out at this point. Interior D line. We have no pass rush other than Trey, who Trey's just an absolute freak. Give this man some money, extend him for till he's 35 years old because he's not going away. He is literally this is probably the best start to Trey's career, I think. Like he's just dominant right now. Like give him some money, do whatever to secure that. But interior wise, Rankins, you're hoping that he's going to really show something. Well, he gets hurt. He hasn't really done much for us here. It's only been 2 games. I get that. But, would you rather we're in the AFC North? We all want that Geno Atkins dude that's going to be a threat, put pressure up the middle in the pocket. But right now, the only thing we have is Trey, and he's literally doing it all. If they won that game, single-handedly, Trey was the reason we won that. And there were so many calls that could have been. You can call. I put it in our text group last week. I said maybe it's my bias because football's been away for a little bit, but Trey's literally held on every play, and you can look on any NFL game. There's plays where people are being held a lot, but Trey's like blatantly being held all the time. He doesn't get the calls because he's not an NFL darling. He's not that superstar. He's not that Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
He's not TJ Watt. He's more of a what's the dude for the Raiders? Max Crosby. He's kind of like a Max Crosby, but I think Max Crosby gets more love than Trey. And Trey's he's a force, man. I wish this dude nothing but the best. He's what a Bengal is, man. He's just a grinder. He works hard, and he's probably my favorite Bengal. Even outside of Joe and Jamar, he puts his nose down, he works, and he grinds. And I just hope for the best for that kid.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. And at the end of the day, man, we want to see this team win. I think their inability to pay people is starting to catch up with them. I think we're seeing that right now. Their inability to.
Can you imagine Jesse Bates in that game? Oh,
can you imagine?
You said inability to pay people. Could you imagine Jesse Bates being there? Like
they've had the dudes over the years. I think the inability to pay them is catching up, and I hope. I'm very pessimistic about this, and you can call me a pessimistic Bengals fan. I'm not a fair weather fan. I've been a fan since I was born, but I've just seen this team over the years really fail to properly pay people. And you can say what you want about the Joe Burrow deal. You can say what you want about what they offered Jamar Chase, but those are only 2 pieces, and every NFL team in the country pays their quarterback at one point or another, unless you're the Raiders. So, all jokes aside, I think they need to start paying people. I think they need to get really aggressive in free agency, or else they're not going to have a Super Bowl team. And at the end of the day, it ain't 2021 anymore. And I think every single Bengals fan, I see a lot of really rational fans like saying like, hey, they need to do this, they need to do that. And a lot of guys are really rational about it, but I still see a lot of Bengals fans and the organization thinking it's 2021 and 2022 and we have Joe Burrow, we have Jamar Chase, we can get right back there. Dude, the NFL's caught up. The NFL's way caught up since then. So I really believe there's a number of players that they should have gotten, but I still believe they have the ability to go out and get a couple more players. Like take Hassan Reddick. He's not even playing right now, man. Pay him his money and get him over here. He'd be a dog, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't know, take a DJ Reader. He's not playing for the Lions right now, right? Say, hey, come on back and we'll pay you, or we'll pay your contract, right? Like get
Yeah.
aggressive and think outside the box. That's what's going to win you ball games. If you constantly reiterate that you believe in the guys that you have, and then they get hurt because there's another soft tissue injury, because everybody on the Bengals seems to have soft tissue injuries, it's going to come back to bite you late in the season. They need to do something right now. And it's not a practice squad player. It is not a budget piece. It is, we have the free agency dollars to go after it, and we're going to go after it now, especially knowing that we're not going to pay T. Higgins next year. Like, there's no way on planet Earth they're going to do that. So you might as well go after him now and get somebody locked down, or else you're going to have a shell of a team coming into next year. Do it now. Do it now.
Yeah.
Go win ball games.
So a few thoughts here. Cam Taylor-Britt next year is going to be pricey. We need to retain. Thankfully, we have our linebackers. We got Pratt and we have Logan Wilson. So those guys
on
are
hometown deals, though. You're really lucky they took hometown deals.
And then we have CTB, who we have to retain him. Like, so regardless of that, Cam Taylor-Britt, he's going to have to be retained. Without Trey Hendrickson, who I just talked about extendedly, we have to find a way to get him. He's our only pass rush. And then Jamar, that deal's not done. I understand to an extent where they're at, where they was, but supposedly the Bengals reached out to him to get the deal done. So why not just finalize it, get it done? Jamar is a huge reason 2021 happened. So why not I just don't get it. Get the deal done, call it a day, give him what he wants. The price is going to go up tomorrow. So it's going to keep climbing. Next year it's going to be higher. Just get it. They should have had it done. It shouldn't have been a question, a problem, nothing. They should have reached out, said, hey, here's what we want. What are you thinking? It shouldn't take all of off season to do this, just for it to carry over into the season and then say, well, nope, like this is, I don't know. It's very.
Hey, let me pose a question to you. This is going to be something that nobody else talks about, and then we'll close the show out. Would you, and no one's going to say yes to this, but would you take a T. Higgins and trade him, or take a Jamar Chase and trade him for a couple first-round picks, or a really big top edge rusher, interior defensive lineman, and a pick, retain one of those two? Would you do it?
You know how much I love T. Higgins.
Right now. Let's say T doesn't play another snap for Cincinnati. Would you do it right now?
So I'm not trading Jamar.
No,
and it's
not for 2 firsts that can catalyze your entire. What do you like? They rarely play together on the field. How many games do we actually see them both play together? Like less than half. Take one and trade one. What would you do it? You have to have the balls to do it right now. Would you, if it meant you're going to win some ball games and bolster that defense?
So people aren't going to like this. I love T. Higgins. I do. And if T could be healthy, T. Higgins with 2 first rounders and a third for Jamar, that's, it's very interesting. That would be, because you're saving money on the Jamar contract. So you're saving money. You have the opportunity right there to really be a contender for the next 3 to 4 years without a problem, because you have all this money. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do it. If it was me, as much as I love T, I think T's gone next year. So why not?
So why wouldn't you trade him while you have him, to avoid a Jesse Bates situation where you get nothing?
Yeah. That's
his price tag is what, 21 mil this year? Someone's going to pay that. They'd love that. Dude, do it now, because Otherwise, the Bengals are going to demonstrate that they haven't learned anything, which they still haven't. And they're going to have a Jesse Bates situation where he rides off into the sunset, gets max money from Washington or Carolina or Tennessee, and you're left with nothing.
Yeah, that's
except the max deal with Jamar Chase, which is going to really suck. So,
yeah, I would have preferred to just gave T what he wanted with like possible trades, where he would want to go, give him options earlier in the year, paid Jamar, use the money that you use for a franchise tag on that defensive line, retain Reader, and also get another piece in. And then in the second round, you don't have to go with Chris Jenkins, which I like Chris Jenkins. Now he's not healthy right now, but if you have Chris Jenkins and you trade that third round pick and then maybe a 6th round pick and you move back into the second, you could have got I'm trying to think the kid's name that played for West Virginia. Mon's in the chat, but he what was his name? I think Frazier. I forget, the kid from West Virginia. He was a really good guard. He was there, and he got picked a couple picks after us. Could you imagine having like just bolstering them trenches? But I don't know, man.
Receivers are a dime a dozen. Receivers are, not to cut you off. Receivers are a dime a dozen, man. Top receivers are really cool, but they tend to get hurt, and then you're left with nothing. AKA the Vikings right now. Like once they get hurt, or the defense just brackets them, which the Chiefs do all the time, what are you really getting out of that player? And I know this makes me sound hypocritical because I was like, oh, we're retaining both of them at the beginning of the season. Like we talked about it all off season, right? But if you would have made more moves and been a proactive franchise and actually, managed your roster before the season, they could have a lot more depth on this team right now, and they wouldn't be paying T. Higgins to sit on the bench with another hamstring injury, which is like his 8th, and Jamar getting 20, 30 yards a game because he's getting bracketed and he's frustrated because he has no contract. Like, you knew this was coming. It's just mismanagement.
I think it's mismanagement of the players. Now, I'm going to have a hard stop here soon, but my closing thoughts are the usage of Jamar, the usage of Jermaine Burton, Mike Gesicki is really being used as wide receiver 2 right now, which is great. He's had, I think he's had the most targets out of anybody and the most yards at this point. Yeah. So, and you have Chase Brown, who has lined up as a receiver. He's lined up outside. So there's plenty of options. Zach Taylor's got to get more creative, and you see it time and time again with other teams where they make things look easy. And for us, everything looks difficult.
So closing thoughts again, it looks difficult because they're not scheming their players. They're trying to pigeonhole them into the system that they already have. That's why it looks difficult. Really good coaching staffs scheme the offense to the strengths of their players, which is something I'm optimistic that this team could do, but they're not currently doing. They're running kind of the same offense they ran in 22 and 21 with some exceptions. That's why you're seeing a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to thank everybody that's been watching. We got quite a few live listeners tonight, so appreciate all you guys. We don't say it often about subscribing and whatnot, but we have really close to 100 subscribers right now. So tell a couple friends. Let's get some more subscribers in here. Hopefully, that helps us get some more views. We always are very active in the chat. So if you guys post stuff about ball, your comments, even if we disagree with them, we love seeing them and using that for conversation points. So yeah, tell your friends, let's interact. Who knows when we'll be at a game and be able to talk ball with you guys and meet up. But definitely appreciate that. I know, like Tony said, being a little harsh, and I was a little harsh on Twitter with some things, but you have to hold people accountable, and that's kind of my thought with it. And it's just fun. It's fun to get on here and vent and talk. So if you're frustrated, you're frustrated. It is what it is. It's only game 2. We've been here before. The the Bengals played really good ball yesterday. There was,
Mm-hmm.
outside of a few iffy calls by referees and maybe, plays that we would like to see our guys make, we're progressing a lot better than we did last week, and there's still a lot to be hopeful for. So that's my thoughts to close it. Tony, you got a couple words?
No, that's it. So you hit on a lot of it, and again, not to sound negative. I hate that I sound so negative on this team. I'm super excited for the rest of the season, and we all want to see this team win. But to Dusty's point, you got to hold people accountable, and I think it's important that we talk about some of the things that are holding this team back, right? So more to come out of this show, and I hope that you guys tune into us more. I know we're going to put out some more consistent shows, but um, I'm hoping to be a little bit more optimistic and a little bit more happy about this team come next time, this next week at this time. So Houday, looking forward to more.
For sure. Who dey, man. Thank you, everybody.